Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for attending Next Generation Open Public Forum. My name is Norifumi Hida, who facilitate Next Generation program. One of the facilitator who facilitate this program. So today, what we are going to do is, let me share my slide. So Next Generation Open Public Forum 1, Next Generation, the role of theater for young audiences during pandemic times. So a little bit, I'm going to explain what is the next generation because I know some of you are not familiar with this. And a little bit, I will show video clip what is like. And I want to introduce some of the next genres this time. And the contents of this forum, is first of all. So now I want to ask some of the next genres to explain their experience of TYA during the pandemic. After that, I want all people divide into groups and discuss what theater can do for children and young people under the pandemic. I'm aware that already in other sessions, you might already discuss with other delegates. So, but that is fine. You might introduce some of idea from these sessions. And if possible, I'm not sure we can do this, but based on the discussion, each group creates a kind of manifest. So we can do, we can offer, for example, but we can, how to say, realize the mental health of children through theater during the pandemic. Or something like this. So you give kind of a short sentence and create manifest. And so this event is kind of this event. I'm not sure they are Japanese people, but originally we wanted to invite Japanese audiences, and because this time Ash World Congress will take place in Japan. So, but I mean, some of these Japanese audience cannot speak English, and we have a spontaneous interpreter. So I kind of, there's a moment, English, Japanese, English, Japanese. I want you to be aware of that. And yes. So let's talk about what is Next Generation. Next Generation is a residency program. Next Generation residency program is a professional development group program designed to support artistic and cultural networking, exchange, and collaboration between young and emergent artists within festival and other international settings. And so what I will give the atmosphere of the Next Generation program to you. Just a moment, when I need to share with the sound. So like this, I mean, energy people watch performances and do some work together, and they learn about UIA in other cultures through this program. Now, this time we have 14 participants from 11 countries. And originally we had 20 people last year. However, because of this situation, only 14 people can participate. And also, because of the time gap, as much as possible, we try to, if they can attend the session, all of them can attend the session together, that would be great. But sometimes it's very difficult. We struggle how we can work together. And now, in this session, we have two next geners, Cole and Lin. Cole, Lin, can you make some greetings to public audiences, if you don't mind? Can you introduce yourself a little bit? And also, if you don't mind, the last 3 days, can you explain what you have done with James as a facilitator? Is that okay?
Sure. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. My name is Ling Valerie Pham. I am a theater and puppetry artist. I'm based in Hanoi, Vietnam. And I'm one of the next generation members. Yeah, we've only had 2 sessions with Jane and James separately, and as Nori has explained, because of the time difference and because of the fact that we're not in sharing the same dorm room as usual, so a lot of the things that I initially expected as a next generation member can happen, but yesterday and the day before that, with the sessions with Jane and James, it was actually still quite fun to have that 1 hour every afternoon, one and a half hour every afternoon, to just putting that aside and meet and do some exercises with other people. So yes, thank you. Myung-hee, should I pass it to Myung-hee? Yes.
Please.
Oh yeah, I'm also the member of Next Generation. My name is Myung-hee from South Korea. Yeah, based in Seoul now. Actually, I did the same exercise with Lynn. So as she said, yesterday we did very interesting things. Speed creating. So for exercises for speed creating, for example, dance jam. So we dance together in the Zoom with music, and also we make a poem. We write poem and we do some movement and music and open for everybody. So it was very impressive because we are a very worldwide, but it's like we are in the same place, it feels like. So it's very impressive. It was very good.
Thank you very much. And now, because as you know, we experienced a huge pandemic, so we stay our own country or somehow always. And because we have 2 next generation emerging artists here, so from their perspective, I want you, Myung-hee and are Aline.
I'm so sorry. We had a power
I was
outage.
looking for you.
Okay, we just had a power outage, so I have to use my cellular data to call in.
Don't
I don't know what
worry.
happened. Yeah.
So would you mind explaining so how as a TYA theater for young audience artist or theater artist? So how have you spent the past 1 year, past year, and in terms of TYA, well, have you given any performance to young audiences? Can you explain a bit about that?
Byung-hee, do you mind going first? I'm just trying to get back from my laptop. It might take a second.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll go first. Yeah, actually, my English is so not good, so very. But actually, I'm freelance actress and also solo performance. I do solo performance. In the last year, I did baby drama in the theater as a freelance actress. Actually, we did worry because when we meet baby, 1 year baby is very close. So is it okay? But we studied about baby and their what is the word, immune system, like that. So fortunately, we can meet very close distance instead of the COVID virus. And also, as a solo artist, I made a theater for one person, for one child. So I met one child at one time. So I make a very short theater. So I can go to them because they can't come to theater. So I went where they were. So I can meet with children, and also I write play, and in the book there's QR code. So I recorded the sound and the acting and some movie, and with the book, the children with the book, and they it's like a site-specific and immersive theater. So they bring the book and go around town, and they read at the spot, and they do some exercise. So they can be audience, and at the same time they can be actor, and also they can do that movement alone and also together. So it can be safe, and for me it's a new way to meet children with my theater. Yeah, it was my experience, yeah, in last year.
Thank you very much. At this moment, if you audience, if you have a question to call from me, I mean, you can ask a question. Is anyone have a question to have? Okay, if not, let's go to Lynn. Are you ready?
Yes. But can I share screen?
Oh yes, of course.
Oh, I think I can. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Yes. Okay. So I think I have repeated this over and over again during our NG sessions, but our situation in Vietnam is a little bit different. We're very fortunate since the pandemic was handled quite well since the beginning of the outbreak. So, for example, right now there's no known infected cases in my city. So we were only under lockdown for a week back in March. And since then, everything has gone back to normal relatively, with intermittent scare alarm going up in certain cities, but overall we're doing all right. So for your question about new shows, we did actually I am the artistic director of Machin Ensemble, which is a performing arts collective here in Hanoi, and the ensemble and I have been putting out new works throughout the year. It's actually been one of our most productive years since we're only staying in one place. So we premiered a new show for young adults and children back in November last year, 2020, called Little Peanut and the Sneeze Theory. And it's a puppet show, and part of the show was actually developed during the lockdown. So for I think 2 or 3 weeks, we met through Zoom, and then we had sessions where we turn in like little homemade videos to come up with the materials for the show. Even though I mean, initially for the development of the show, we plan to have young audience, children involved in the development itself, because it's a show about growing up. It's about the pain of the growing pain as you grow up and deals with more complicated things. So we actually initially had planned to invite and do workshops with young children, but because of the pandemic and the social distance, children, even though things went back to normal, but children still did a lot of homeschooling. The school year was interrupted quite a bit because the government was quite adamant about keeping children at home and not at school. So our initial plan was to go to school classes to do workshops, but it didn't happen. But we did do a special day where we visited our partner called Tahe. And Tahe is an organization that supports young artists on autistic spectrum. So we did a special performance with them in their class. It's a relaxed performance. And then a workshop where we kind of try to make it a beginning of something, because this year we're going to have a bigger project with Tahe and these young artists. I mean, this Sunday we're going to perform at their exhibition's opening. So we're hoping to get more specific ideas about how to develop a show that is accessible to a lot of different young group of audience. And then before Little Peanut and the Sneeze Theory, we also had a lecture performance called The City is Twinkling with Spots of Lights. And this is not a show specifically designed for young audience, but we ended up attracting a lot of young audience members. It's a show about the city. It's about life living in boxes in the city. So it had some fun interactive elements and storytelling elements, which I think was quite accessible to young children. And you can see here, this is our sign language interpreter. She accompanied most of our shows, and we had quite a big group of children from her community coming to the performance, which responded quite well to the show. So yeah, overall, we actually, it was actually a kind of blessing in disguise for our ensemble in a way, because usually I, as the artistic director, would be traveling a lot, and we would be traveling a lot in and out. But this year we got to stay in one place with our local audience, with the people around us. So we actually had a lot of time to sit down and work as an ensemble. So yeah, so that was 2020 for us.
Thank you very much. So, when you use a puppet, especially when you work with young people, young people also touch this puppet, right?
Yes, so it's actually a big thing for us. And whenever we do a performance, there's always a workshop that goes along with it, or like a time where audience members can interact with the puppets themselves to just try it out, because I think in Vietnam we're the only puppetry collective slash company that works with this kind of puppetry that allows for like people to actually physically touch and manipulate the puppet. So people, audience, especially children, are quite curious. And it's really fun to see how they react, because I mean, the design of the puppets is, I would say it's not like, most of our puppets are not like cutesy, like they're not really cute. So a lot of adults actually find them quite scary at first, but children actually really like them, which is, I mean, really young children really feel attached to them, but I mean, when they, once they hit like 12 or 13, that's where like they're, like they would be more likely to have the reaction, but oh, this kind of looks scary, but younger children under 12 would really, like, we have a lot of like questions from young audience to like, where can I get a little puppet, a little peanut, sorry, can, yeah. Does that answer your question? Sorry.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. No, I've just found another next gener. Rebecca is here now. Sorry. Rebecca, thank you very much, Dean, for answering question. Rebecca, hello.
Yeah, hello.
Now I'm asking, well, first of all, because now we have a lot of audiences, and I'm introducing next geners this time. This time is next gener. Can you introduce yourself? And also after that, could you explain how we have for the past 1 year, so we experienced the pandemic. Can you explain how you spend how you, in terms of TYA, your work, how you spend the past 1 year? Is that okay?
Yeah, very much. Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning from Nigeria. My name is Rebecca Maulomekadun, and I am a drama teacher, a facilitator, and a dramaturg. Working in Nigeria. I lecture with the Department of Theatre and Performing Arts, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria here in Nigeria. And we actually teach, I in particular teach young students in university in their third year how to engage children. So we teach things like creative dramatics, DIE, learning child psychology, learning the children's rights, and they go into the neighborhoods, they go to churches, they go to schools and work with children. So at the end of the day, we do some sort of children's festival where they bring all these children around and we engage them, we listen to them, we work with them through theater games and exercises, songs, and different performances, and basically to see what they have done over time. So it's really an engaging time over the year. So this festival is actually done annually, except for last year, of course, because of the pandemic. So beyond where I lecture, I also have affiliation with the Aroja Theatre in Nigeria. And that will bring me to the second part of the question Nuri had asked about what I was doing during the pandemic. So I joined the Aroja Theatre, and we have this weekly storytelling sessions online. Of course, it's pandemic, children are not going to school, children couldn't gather in a place in the same space. But then we also found a means to still create that feeling of a space. So we have online session where we engage our children as young as age 5, between age 5 and we have 10, 11, 12, who come together to listen to stories, engaging stories. And as we tell the stories, you know, we tell it alongside with them, we listen to their interpretation of the stories, we allow them to share their minds, to also engage with other children on the platform. Also, what we do to around the same time is to ensure that we prolong the engagement. So after the storytelling sessions online, we then give some sort of homework, some sort of assignments to make make short videos or voice notes or write poems around particular assignments based on the storytelling session. Sometimes, for instance, we could tell them to make an introduction or a performance around their favorite food or a song, a lullaby in their local language, you know, record it and put it online, and then give us the link to access it, where we can access, we as facilitators can access, and as well the other children as well can engage it. So we sort of found a way to ensure that young audiences are continually engaged even during the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You also spent very hard time, but very nice work. And now what I'm going to do, because some people joined late, just let's see my slide again. Can you see my slide? So now 3 next geners explained the experience of TYA during the pandemic. So now what I want to do is, now I want to divide all people, well, into groups. Well, so 3 next geners. So I will create 3 groups. So, and in each group, could you discuss what theater can do for children and young people under the pandemic? So I want to explore a possibility of theater in such a situation. And if possible, based on the discussion, each group create a kind of manifest, so what we can do under such a situation. So this is what I want to do in 30 minutes. Well, we might extend, but for now, let's say 30 minutes. Is that okay for everyone? Okay, thank you very much. So, a stage dialogue team could, I can do breakout. So, okay, thank you very much, dialogue team.
Make a manifesto about what we should be doing for children during the pandemic. Yeah. So I'm going to start with, let's keep young people moving, as simple as that.
What does it mean exactly, the moving, while we are sitting in the front of the devices? Oh, can you say a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I've been delivering workshops via Zoom a lot. And I think it's really important to not always look directly at the screen, because I think we get stuck in this world. So I think it's important to take your focus away and just move in their own space. So I direct a lot of improvisational techniques where you can just use my voice and not have to actually look at the screen, just to take them away from it, which is I think important, not just for kids, but for us as well, to be honest. So I don't know if that answered your question. Let's keep moving. Let's just keep opening up the space, even though we're sort of trapped in these small spaces. Does that sort of make sense? I don't know how I'm going to describe that.
What about keeping children creative? What have people got under that banner? Keep children creating. How can we do that? What are some of the techniques that have worked successfully? You know, offering workshops online or interacting with families online.
I was part of a project of In a New Light, and we did a lot of show and tell. So when we were in school still, it was a project with 3 different countries. So each group from each country would show a movement, or let's say some sign language, or a riddle, and then the groups would exchange that, but it would be a little task. Oh god. So for example, one group made a pyramid of people, and then all the other groups would try to make a pyramid of people, which within the boundaries, which was quite nice, because you get that sense of connection and togetherness. We're sharing an activity when we can't share the energy in the room. Yeah.
For me, for me, I consider the because of pandemic, they can't come to theater because the theater is closed. Sometimes government forbid the performance. So I think I can go to them, or can I deliver them the theater? How can I? Of course, the common way in these times is Zoom or online, but I think another way. Is there another way? Not like online. So I try some things. One thing is, as I said at the first time, I getting out of the theater, and I make a big space, because we have to get a distance, safe of children. So for example, the whole town can be theater. So it's like a site specific. So they can see some very small part of the town, the theater. It can be one person or some 6 or 7 person. So but there's very big space, so they can see safely the theater. Or sometimes what is that, I deliver the material to their home, so they I make a very small theater, something like. So if I deliver some materials to them, they can do their theater in their home. There's many ways. I make some materials and also some paper. You can do first, second, third, fourth. So they can make their theater and their stage, and they can be, so every time I think maybe they can be an actor and the director and the audience. It can be very personal, but it can be the new way to feel close to the theater in their space. Some children before the pandemic, some children can't come to theater because of there's many problems, long distance, or it's not capital or money. But because of pandemic, we consider about how can many people in their space can enjoy their theater in their way. So yeah, I think it can be crisis, but it can be opportunity to think about that. Yeah. Can you understand my English? I don't know.
Yeah,
I try my best.
Yeah, graceful.
Maybe is the app where is the book where children are walking in public space and they are reading a book? Is it with a QR code? How does that work? Is it electronic on a phone or is it a physical book?
Actually, in the case they have to have a cellular phone, something like yeah. So they camera and headphone, they can use it.
Can I just ask how many of you have sort of seen or read the Asitej manifesto that was published last year? Because that was something that was really well received in Germany, like also politically and in the media. But what I find very interesting about this discussion here is really putting this idea of movement at the center of discussing children's rights. Sort of the idea, not because everyone needs to have a choice like on a larger scale, but we also need to make sure that people can move freely and experience their bodies and their surroundings. So I think the idea of movement can really be explored in many different ways, and I like it because it would be in addition to the manifesto that has already been published, and that's very structural and political and addresses budgets and responsibilities.
Yeah, it's a very good metaphor as well. Absolutely. So that's a lot of layers of meaning of the word of movement. Yeah. Absolutely, you're right. I agree with that one. Now I'm also thinking about the audio. You know, there is a lot of response on the possibilities of audio. So means like radio, like listening. And recently in last years, I was thinking a lot because of the other circumstances about how we are not listening enough or not listening the real meaning of the words. The words are very cheap now, you know, the things are always getting so on the shallow. Yeah. So the other thing is also the listening, the audio, and in a real life, like, have any one of you explore that technique, that space of listening and talking to the children? Because we are not listening. It's really like a, you know, it's like children in a dark and in a silence, they get fright, isn't it? Because, and I was thinking about how much we are scared of being without any noises, without music, without anything, because then you are coming to yourself and thinking about yourself inside. So in that level, I would like just to provoke a possibility of thinking about the audio and listening. Does anyone of you have any experience with that? Yes.
So can I answer maybe? Not
Please.
as a creator, but myself and my daughter, when Dublin Theatre Festival, I think it was, had a fringe event and we did the rain walk. I know it's done by a UK company, but I'm not exactly sure who did it. And this little box arrived, beautiful packaging, very ecologically friendly. And that was your show. And it was the beginning of many companies doing this as an alternative. But it was fantastic. It was so beautiful because we get a lot of rain in Ireland and we tend to stay in when it's raining. So this was an audio track that you put as an MP3 on any device. It didn't have to be a phone. It could be any device that would play an MP3. And it took you through the puddles and it asked you to listen to the rain as it fell on your head. It was so, so beautiful. And actually it stopped raining as we were walking and we were horrified. We were like, the one time you needed to keep raining and it stopped. But and the beauty is you can use it again and again. And you know, it's done in the voice of children. So like I say, I don't know, I don't remember which company did it, but it was a very beautiful experience. That said, Deanna, I don't consider that was a theatrical experience. It wasn't for me. It was a walk with a very pleasant artistic and cultural experience, but not theatrical.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder, is there something there to think about, you know, in
You
what...
felt, sorry, Gloria, so you felt there was no drama in that listening? Because when
No.
I'm listening to you, I can imagine a lot of drama. And then in the rhythm of falling of the sound, the touch of the water with your head, it provokes feeling, it provokes emotion to me while I was listening to you. But when you actually heard the performance, you felt there was no drama and was no theatrical?
Not no drama, but it wasn't theatre. No, it wasn't theatre for me. And I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I think in terms of a project that will engage with children during the pandemic, absolutely, a cultural and artistic moment, but not theatre. No, for me, no. And not for my daughter either. It was lovely, but it wasn't theatre. Theatre is something else. And pandemic cultural engagement, it was fantastic.
But isn't it this on the track of the using the theatrical experiences and tools towards the giving a sensation which is really catharsis in a way, or exploring the body of your own or senses? You know, we are addressing to the children mostly on the level of rational in a way, but theater is giving something which is not, it should be something that is moving your feelings and your emotional understanding of the world. So I think there is a lot of space now where we can go towards our goal to how would I say, engage with the children, not necessarily in a theater as per se, like a theater, I would say not box, but a theater like a building, like, you know, there is a lot of, especially new artists, I have felt that they are feeling like they would like to go out of the very narrow picture of what is the theater. So the space is out, and the other way of exploring, I mean, this pandemic is also the chance for us to find out what is as well theater. It's not necessarily that we have a theater like we are used to it, to have in one way. What do you have to say about this? Maike, does anyone in Germany is talking about this coming out of the theater as a theater building? Do you have these? Do you remember any of the examples in Germany? There is, I think there must be something like that. And do we have in our professional theater workers this very strong rejection of coming out, as this is not recognized as a theater?
I think many people are leaving their spaces and trying to, like the Theater Strahl from Berlin has now done a school break dance performance for the schoolyard, and they were rehearsing now in winter. It was really hard for the dancers, and I think there are lots of experiments, especially because no one knows when people will feel they want to go back into enclosed spaces. And I think there's been a lot of work also with quite closely linked to object theater, like seeing what's around you as potential objects in a theater that might be more, might be closer to an individual in the audience than a group of people in the audience. And we had one lovely project in spring last year when everyone was still sort of energetically meeting this crisis, when lots of new ideas came up, and we had and there were people who worked with young people and sort of animated public spaces to have a different meaning and work with like regarding movement, how the pressure of this crisis can be expressed in a series of movements. So I think there are a lot of theaters that don't have venues. Of course, they are interested in being elsewhere because all the bookings by venues have been cancelled anyway. So yeah, I think that might be a positive change, sort of leaving these rather exclusive spaces that still exist. But at the moment, no one knows, and everyone has lost hope that theater will happen ever again. So
you know, it is incredible. Thank you very much. I just wanted to say that we are still thinking, when we say theater, we are thinking in one way, and I wouldn't dare to say, no, we need that for forever, that way of thinking about the theater as well. But existing of theater should be more wider. And this is a chance for me, if we are stuck in a situation like this one here now. So I think we should explore what else could we do. In that way, I was raising up this, in that way I was thinking about it. That's the diversity anyway, you know, in expression. And I know that most of our colleagues, professionals, see the theater the only way that it is like connected with the building. And I know that it's really bizarre, but I think about 7 years ago, Asiter Serbia had made a little movie that it is for the occasion of the 20th of March, celebrating the theater. And the answer was among the, it was a very short sentence, take the children to the theater, and then the artists have been asked to say why. And one particularly writer, Milan Markovic, says, because maybe tomorrow there will be no theater. So it was like, 7 years ago, it was like really always, it's like frightening thought. But now we are in a moment that we have to think what is else also meaning the theater. And most of the, sorry. I just want to provoke these ideas further.
I just remembered that maybe we also, like as audience members ourselves, we have to learn, because I think we've all been to Zoom theater things that haven't felt like theater, but every once in a while there are things that do feel like theater. And I think we have to learn to be more specific when that happens and why and how.
The opening ceremony, that was so exciting to see the theater, really. I was in the theater yesterday, thanks to these devices, in Japanese theater that I had no chance while I was in Japan to see, and I was twice over there. I haven't seen it yet. So for me, it's also double. It's not the same, it's not the air, but then this, okay, we should find out. Okay. What else we can do?
There is always a kind of conventional thinking that theatre is occupied by a digital space where we go most often. We're so used to going on Zoom, but also looking at outdoor theatre spaces that have not ever been considered theatre in quite the same way, that's growing, say, for example, with outdoor arts. This has always been the case, but I've seen sort of designs of people having drive-in theatres, for example, where the theatre space is in the middle of a park and people drive together to see that theatre in that space. But it's kind of, how do you preserve that sense of visceral, live, physical action and the response to it that you give and receive in a theatre environment? And how does that work in somewhere that is not a conventional theatre space? Yeah, it would be really interesting to get people's thoughts on that, but also to think about how sort of TYA, can accommodate that and still provide like a really high quality experience for children.
I think in Ireland, it's funny because when I said it wasn't theatre, I meant it wasn't theatre for me, but actually we don't have many theatres at all, physical structures. So theatre in Ireland has always had to be very imaginative and very much outside, because there's so few venues. And for children, I can think of only 2 in the whole country. So it's always done in community halls, in schools, in and now houses, this has. So I think for me, I'm feeling very sad for the few theatres that we do have, that in a way they're now being victimized. And I feel sorry in a weird way. I feel sorry for the venue. And I would hope that we could do projects that would celebrate the venue, but don't have to be in it. Because otherwise children will forget what theatre in a theatre is. And it's not a bad thing, it's just that it can't be done at the moment. But I'm really feeling that the vocabulary is really strongly around reinventing and leaving it, like it's been mentioned here, those big old conservative buildings, but like we're not lucky enough to have them even. So it's for us, I feel sad that the theatres are closed, and I feel sad that they're not being celebrated for the wonderful venues that they are when the pandemic, passes. I would hate to think that we wouldn't be going back, but I come from a very liberal approach to theatre. Otherwise, I couldn't have worked at all, because I think I've worked twice in a theatre building. So it's an interesting discussion everywhere. I think the discussion is between the artists who are creating theatre, because you can no longer create the way you did before. at the moment. And so that's where the thinking needs to evolve. But the venue, the theatre itself, I really feel it's being left behind and left empty. And I would like to see that addressed because I feel sad for the energy that's in those buildings. I think there's an awful lot of phantoms in those stages and little lights being left on. Like, those are the stories we need to be telling to keep it alive. And we can't tell them in the venues, so we have to be inventive about telling them outside the venue. I have a project in mind, and I'm hoping that it'll keep theatre itself alive to children, because I've always loved it.
It sounds like you have some thoughts, really very concrete ones.
I have, yeah.
But this is wonderful thought, I think. Yes, maybe this is also one path that we can, well, it could be a kind of maybe develop this as an idea how to go into the houses and what is going on with them, the Syria of the houses around the world. What do you think about that? You know?
Yeah,
with the stories. Like
there's also, I mean, there must be an emotional sadness in the building. There has to be, you know, there's always so much energy. And for now, for 12 months, there's been no energy in the building. And I think that's, like, I get goosebumps when I think about that, because that sadness also needs to be addressed. I see Holly is nodding and going, oh,
yeah. The emotional sadness of the building just got to me, like, we've got the Theatre Royal in the centre of Newcastle, and it just stands there, this magnificent building, and it didn't get any money in it. Yeah, there's a sadness in that building that you're really right, that needs.
And all the creators are so excited with this new vocabulary of let's go outside the box, let's think outside, but it's leaving this huge, beautiful building behind in a lot of cases, and I feel sad about that, not energized. I'm continuing to do lots of things outside the box and create stories and festivals and everything, but I feel sad for the building.
Can't we combine these two things? And in German, the building, like the word for a building would be Immobilie, so it's something that does not move. I think it's it just combines very nicely. Maybe we need Harry as a writer now. But
I just think we need to change the rhetoric that's happening about the building itself, because it's very negative, and it's negative. It's not on purpose. It's because everybody is being forced to think about new ways of acting, new ways of presenting. So now it's not cool to say your building is open and you're presenting for kids, and it's very cool to say we're completely locked down, but look what we're doing. And I just feel we need to change the thinking about the building, because maybe it won't welcome us back either. You know?
But no, you know, in Serbia we have we had a lockdown for the first half of the year, but then we have regularly working on it from time to time in the weekends. Maybe it's a lockdown, little lockdown, but you know, depending on the situation with the COVID in the moment. But actually, when how would I say, I like this idea because it gives a sense, and it should be a kind of maybe we should make a world series of the talking about the buildings and things. It's a lovely idea. It's a very poetic, and it has a lot of potential, I would say. But you know, maybe we can suggest, you know, to find out how to make it as a project really for the world Asitež. On the other side, I really pledge for existing every kind of the theater. So it doesn't mean that we are annulating the theater in our houses, but you know, there is a question, a big one. There is not a lot of possibility to access to the theater like that. For example, in your country, and there are many countries around the world that they don't necessarily think when they say theater in a Western European way, classical one. Why did I address to Maike? Because there is a basic of the tradition, like we understand European theater. Basic is Germany theater kind of model, isn't it? So the perception of it. But on the other side, it's really a moment for explore many things. So I think because there is not a majority of the children, they don't have access to it. And that's why we have to find out how to approach to the children. And before this, it was a kind of, a lot of us people, artists that they went out, like in France, there is a lot of project I know for 2 years that they are developing in a dance, going outside in the parks and things like that. And I remember somebody from, in Norway, there was a discussion about it also, like how we are very narrow thinking about the theater. There is a whole lot of the things that we can discuss about it. But yes, I think it would be very nice that we think further on the basis of you, Cleona, what you said now. Yeah, it could be very interesting.
Yeah. I think in this time, it's very good chance to make a new concept of building or about the Vuni. For me, I meet the blind children regularly. For them, the Vuni is not important, as I think, because the important thing is how can we arouse their imagination in the theatrical way. So with my voice, they can go to the castle, they can go to the sea, they can go to the sky in their Vunis. So when I meet the blind children, it can give me another thought about the Vuni. So it can be also another concept of the building, maybe, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. And also, I just want to add something about audio, about listening. We also, it doesn't exclude the persons who are not having a good ability of listening. There is a lot of ways how you can approach to these people because of the rhythm and things like a senses in another way. For example, I know some wonderful dancers, they are deaf, but they are dancers absolutely fantastic because of the other way of recognizing the rhythm, which is building the other ability of the listening. So doesn't exclude it. I just wanted to say that I didn't forget for that. Right. So I like this that you said about the building. Yeah, we have to go. Could you wrap up a little bit of it, what we said?
Yeah, I'll read the main points for about 46 seconds. Okay. So we've got, let's keep young people moving, feed their creative minds, open their physical and mental space, promote connection with families, listen to not only their words, but the meanings within them. Young people can create theatres in their homes, find the secret exclusive spaces, but don't forget about our wonderful theatres. Let's meet this crisis with energy, create opportunity, and don't be afraid to enjoy the rain.
Wonderful.
Sort of like, is that a manifesto?
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody.
I'm very impressed.
Everybody said such.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you very much. I see, each room, all of the group are discussing very excitingly. I don't know how to stop them actually. So I want to ask each of the groups to introduce what you have discussed. And after that, if possible, I want to hear manifest, but I don't see you create. I mean, it might be not enough time to create manifest. In just case, I'm thinking after you introduce what you have discussed, I take 5 minutes after that. Then in chat, you might create during the pandemic, for the pandemic. So theater can do blah, blah, blah for children, for young people. You might type in chat. So first of all, but before that, first of all, let's hear what you have discussed in each group discussed. First group, which one was first group? the group where Lin was in. So Lin or someone in Lin's group, Room 1's group, can you introduce what you have discussed so far?
I mean, anyone from our group, if you are happy to share. I
mean, anyone anyone in your group can jump in. So
okay, I think I can share and then, oh wait, hold on, did someone? Okay, I think I can share or summarize a little bit, and then if I'm missing anything, people can just jump in. Okay, yes, so I think we discussed a lot of different things. We shared our stories and context, our local context during the pandemic. Because we have a diverse group of people who come from different countries and time zone, the situation kind of varies. So some people were able to create shows and keep the theaters open throughout last year, while other people spent a lot of time in rehearsal rooms and not premiering or opening shows at all. So people shared different ways of working during this time. People might take it slow and stop for some time to take in everything, while other people, and there's one artist who's working with a company in Singapore while she's in Sweden to collaborate and do an immersive show. And then questions and concerns were raised about the way that we've been conducting theater throughout the year. People, there are a lot of things that were done virtually or online, and as artists who make theater for young children, some of us are concerned or fear that we might lose our audience if we keep doing it this way, and if we cannot bring the children to theater or let them experience the beauty of being in the same room. But there are also possibilities that we should keep ourselves open to. For example, there are people who are focusing on creating resources for parents or carers. So instead of keeping the children tied to a screen, they will be reaching them through the people right next to them. And then there's also the idea of taking theater back to where it started, outdoor, close to nature. And we ended with saying that, you know, we should be patient, we should persist with what we're doing while keeping ourselves open to possibilities that this situations has brought to us, and while being considerate, while having critical questions. Yes, I'm hoping I get everyone, or if you know, I'm speaking on behalf of people, so I'm not comfortable. But so if anyone who feels like I'm misinterpreting things, then feel free to jump in. Yes. Okay.
Please add Lin's comment if you have a more. Okay, thank you very much, Dean, for summarize tough task summarizing what everyone say in your group. Thank you. Let's move to group 2, in which we can see Myung-hee's group.
We told a lot of things. Holly helped to organize our manifesto, so I'll pass to Holly.
Cool. Okay, I was just actually putting it into the chat box as well, so people can read it afterwards. Again, we spoke about amazing projects all over the world and different things that people are doing, and I just scribed the things that sort of jumped out and put it together in a sort of manifestation. So this is what the fabulous people in my group discussed. Let's keep young people moving, feed their creative minds, open their physical and mental space, promote connection with families, and listen to not only their words, but the meanings within them. Young people can create theatres in their homes. They can find secret, exclusive outdoor spaces, but don't forget about our wonderful theatres. Let's together meet this crisis with energy and use it to create opportunities. Don't be afraid to enjoy the rain. So that's everyone's ideas in the group, and I'm going to stick it in the chat box as well, so people can read it if if my accent's a bit too strong.
Very beautiful.
I don't know. Sorry, carry on.
No. How that manifesto was created? What kind of discussion took happened in your group? Then, how did you get? How did you use that discussion to create this manifesto?
Does anybody else want to answer that?
If you don't mind. Because I see the outcome, but I want to know the process.
I don't mind answering.
Thank you very much.
Holly is a fantastic note taker. That's really how that came. She took that very seriously. So I think we had wonderful discussions, and we stuck to the theme of what to do for children, what has been done. And then we moved a little bit into how to look at the form of theatre in the future for children. And a lot of ideas came from that, and Holly expertly put them into a manifesto form. So I think that for me is how it happened. It was a lovely session, so thank you to everybody who was there.
Thank you. Any other comment from this group?
Yeah, I just want to add that it's wonderful that Holly have made it in one and wrapped it up, because I think it is very good where our group have really the newcomers and the very old ones with experience. So it's fantastic. Thank you very much, Holly, for that, and everybody in the group.
Thank you. Now, shall we let's move to group 3, where we have NG Rebecca. Rebecca is. Who can?
That's not fair, having to follow Holly. We didn't directly come up with a manifesto as such, but we had talked about lots of different things. And one of the things that really stuck out for me was building the consciousness of the medium that we're using, in terms of using the online medium, and just, you know, the building the consciousness of that, and seeing, you know, that about the engagement of young people. We also talked a lot about the resuscitation of languages through storytelling and making art online, and using that language where like Indigenous languages, and I know that I'm from Ireland, so we've been using, I've seen a lot of people using the Irish language and kind of trying to recreate that as well. then we talked a lot about interactivity in terms of using sending out activity packs or having people in their homes, you know, use quite physical materials, and a material theatre was mentioned. And we talked a bit about how we were able to move into private spaces and how we were able to get people, if we were able to get the adults to engage with the children and kind of create like an intergenerational theatrical experience, how useful that can be, because we're now in the private spaces of the homes. And this storytelling sparks conversations for families to have post-show discussions. And somebody else will be able to say, I've taken hundreds of notes here, but I'm not sure that I've kind of summed it up like Holly did. We talked a lot about mixing the movement and about how everything's become so facial focused, about how if we can bring the body into that using choreography and dance. And I'm trying to say, is there anything else? Do lots of energizing the audiences, and we talked about creating a theatre games Bible, so like an online library of theatre games. So yeah, that's kind of what I can see here, body consciousness through dance. I'm sure somebody else, Rebecca, maybe you might be able to summarize a wee bit better if there's anything I've missed.
Thank you very much. Anything else you want to add from your group? Thank you very much. So interesting discussions, and well, like the second group created, I want to create, well, if possible, I want to see something like a manifest, but I think rather than dividing, go back to your group, my suggestion, well, we can discuss. My suggestion is I will take 5 minutes and you write, you use chat function, and you write like theater can do, theater has a power to heal young people who damaged, hurted due to the pandemic in a way, blah, 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 blah. Is that okay? Do you think, can you do that? And we create kind of a big manifesto, not manifesto, but pledge or something like that.
So we're sorry, we're writing in the chat box now.
Yes.
Like, okay.
Reflection time now. So I will take now 30 minutes. So let's take 5 until 36 minutes to write down that on chat box. If you go. Thank you very much. And if you still write your kind of your words, please keep writing that and put it into chat box. I want to. We have 20 minutes, and if can we read all of them? So let's just read and hear what's like. Would you, the first person, Kuroho na no. Sorry, you are.
You're okay. You're okay. It's Cliana Noonan.
Cliana Noonan. Could you read your? Actually, I really feel it's like a poem.
Oh, thank you. I'm just trying to find it again because I've gone up in the chat. Just 1 second. Sorry.
But this is the one you like. So I want to hear this with your voice.
Okay. Theatre has the power not only to look back and help children heal from the trauma of the pandemic, but also to open its doors again, even imaginary ones, and welcome new and positive experiences of the future.
Thank you very much. Beautiful. So the second one is mine, so I'll go next. children and young people lost their friendship during the pandemic, and theater has a power to recover that because theater helps them recall how to touch other people, actually how to touch their friends mentally and physically. The third person, Julia, if you don't mind, could you read yours?
Yes, that's fine. Theatre during the pandemic has the power to reconnect us with each other and the world. Theatre can make us patient and strong in our ideals, courageous and open to new possibilities. Theatre can enable us to reimagine our ways of living, to put creativity at the centre of our existences, and for it to touch many different aspects of living.
Thank you very much. And the next person, Meike, if you don't mind, could you read yours?
Yeah, I stayed with our discussion from the breakout session. So I wrote, let's talk about mobility in mind and body, and about venues, theatres, places, immobility, and discover their potential anew when buildings and people can once more come together. Listen, look, play, and pay attention to detail. What has changed during the time you were apart? Pay respect to the life of things and the needs of people. What needs to change in the places we share?
Very nice. Thank you very much. So next next generation person, Myung-hee, would you mind read yours?
Okay. Play have the power and duty to make children believe that it can be theater wherever they are. We can tell them that their imagination has big power. They can make anything and go anywhere.
Okay, thank you very much, Jerry. Lin, could you go?
Yes. So theater can grow with its audience. We can grow as our young people do. It's important that we witness each other through each phase of growing pains and life lessons.
Oh no. The next, Sarah, would you mind reading yours? Oh no.
1 more minute to go is actually a nice manifesto.
Correct. That's my 1 minute. So I'm going to read Sarah.
Sorry, I was stuck there. Theatre has the power to engage children and their families and focus the interaction, learning how to respond to each other through play. It can encourage bonding, letting children explore their feelings and help them mentally, socially, and physically.
Thank you very much. So the next, Hannah, would you mind reading yours?
Yes, thank you. I will just find it. Okay. No matter what the circumstances are, we can always perceive the situation in the creative way. Our body imagination allows us to perceive the world from the very different angles. Let's take this situation as a great practice and invite families to share this practice and to inspire them and from them. Let's rethink critically the notion of public-private. Let's invite families to build their own imagination, body-aware words and structures, and allow them to live and to transform in the ways that are most nourishing for them. So let's do our work as usual.
Great, great. Very nice. Body imagination. Julia, would you mind reading yours?
No, thank you. Theater in all its forms has the power to remind us that our reality is only one of many choices. It encourages us to imagine realities and futures different from the one we know, by broadening our perspective and shifting our focus. It can inspire its audiences, but also listen to its wishes and needs and give them a platform and a voice.
Thank you very much. Luga, would you mind reading yours?
Yes, sure. As the saying goes, earth without art is just and this was proved during the pandemic. Theater is giving us a way out, a way of reminding ourselves of who we are. It's an opportunity for a connection within a person, within a family, and within the community. Let's use theater as an invitation to play, to dream, to laugh, to love, to connect and reconnect, to remember the joy. Theater can be the starting point of a whole day, month of creative connecting between the family and community.
Theater can be the starting point a whole day. Nice. Sis, could you read yours?
Yes. Dance and theater during the pandemic has the power to let the young meet and share the experience. And with this power comes the responsibility to make it a safe and positive experience.
Okay, yes, positive experience. Thank you very much. And Harry, would you mind reading yours?
A theatre stage has no address beyond an encounter. This encounter may be physical or within the realm of the imagination. What we imagine changes how we think. Theatre has the artful power to reflect both on loss, on recovery, and on possibility. Children are naturally attuned to these properties of the imagination.
Great, thank you very much. Rebecca, would you mind reading yours? Rebecca, I think unmute, yeah.
Yes, yeah. I'm here. So mine was something that came to me during our small session when I listened to the participants. So I would say, in this new normal, don't limit your creativity. If you get it right, just like candy, children will crave for it some more.
Get it just like a candy, nice example. I like it. Thank you. Holly, would you mind reading yours?
Yeah. Theatre is in our bones and our breath. Theatre is the steps we take, the food we eat, the words and the moves we share. There may be a grey pandemic cloud over our heads, but look past and the light will continue to glow.
Thank you so much. Very nice. Thank you very much for everyone for creating such a nice, actually I want to say poems. And last 10 minutes, I want, because this session is based on the Next Generation program. So we have 3 emergent young artists here. So I want to ask Myung-hee, Lin, Rebecca. So joining your group, what you felt, what you have learned from your group and also from this session. So how here lots of experienced artists which we have learned from. So what you got from them, I want to hear that. Is that okay? Yeah. Who can go first?
Me is for.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes. Thanks to my wonderful colleagues. Thank you. I was so grateful to have people who were all different places, but share the same concern. So I get courage. And through the conversation, I ask myself questions again and answer them. I try to answer them. What is the play? Where is the stage? What do the children need? So I want to take the process of finding the answer and to enjoy the rain together. I thought I should first enjoy the joy of dancing in the rain. So I'll jump into the rain. Yes.
Thank you very much. Lin or Rebecca, who can go next?
Thank you very much. I must say that this is an exciting session for me. I really enjoyed it. And I see everyone here as my friend, so I've learned a lot from my friends. But in particular, the group I joined, I learned about different engagements from even as it is a time of pandemic, little things people are doing via physical engagement online, doing storytelling, sharing, a lot of those things. I have basically learned to find the new normal and be creative. One of the people in my group shared how that they are going on the street performing, and then children are watching through the windows. I just feel that is very creative. In fact, he mentioned that they are also looking at going with, of course, observing social distancing, moving with vehicles to centers, different places where they can find children and just perform. You know, that's some sort of augmenting the online sessions that they are also having, and that is going on for a long time. And maybe the children are tired of the online and they are using this creativity space, challenge me to defy the new normal, defy the pandemic, and just think and be creative. Also, I have learned to be continually innovative as I engage the children. They also shared different experiences where they touched the imagination of children, and that helps to hold their attention span and ensure that they achieve whatever they are doing online. Also, I have learned ultimately that I should think of creative ways to be interactive. So when I'm having a session online, I should be interactive with the children, giving them exercises on the spot, giving them assignments to take back, just something that will ensure that they participate. So it is not a one way, it should be both ways, two ways. So as I'm engaging them, they are engaging back, and that makes me achieve whatever we want to achieve, which was why I created the earlier statement, and I would love to end things with the same statement, that if you get it right, just like a candy, the children will want some more. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you very much. Lin, could you go?
Yes, yes. So I don't think my summary do justice to the conversations that we had in our room, because there were so many good good thoughts and good stories, pondering contemplations from people. But I don't have the power of great manifesto writing like Holly. Yeah, I just want to express how grateful I am for the conversations that we had earlier. I like Myung-hee mentioned, and from yesterday as well, the word courage came up a lot. So I think there are things that we know, that I know, but as we go on in life, as we face with certain things that are standing right in front of us, we forget about the basics. So things like, enjoy the rain, like embrace the possibilities, keep yourself open, and stay hopeful and be patient. So very basic things that everyone knows, but as we are, in the moment and facing this great big thing, we forget it. And it was nice to be in a room where other people, when you're forgetting, and other people remind you of it. And And if it's not that, and it's finding people who are sharing the same concerns as you are as well was also nice, while getting to hear people coming from a different perspective who are more hopeful, who are patient. Yeah, so thank you everyone for a lovely afternoon.
Thank you very much. So when I decided this topic for the forum in Japan, what happened was people say, people couldn't really work and they couldn't get money for tomorrow. So some say, newspaper says like artists are useless because doesn't make a lot. I mean, they spend a lot of money but doesn't create really money in that sense. Therefore, artists are battle the fight. Lots of artists argue against that and try to protect why art is so important. That's why I decided to discuss this topic. And through this discussion today, so I confirm so theater is really important during this pandemic time. That's what I felt. So now 7 o'clock. So thank you very much for joining this session. And we have 3 next genres. Thank you very much. So please enjoy. I hope all of you, first of all of you enjoy this session. But also, I mean, next genre, if you learn a lot from these respectable, experienced artists, if you learn a lot from them, I'm very happy. Thank you very much. So I will end this session now. Thank you very much for everyone. See you the second public forum tomorrow.